His name is Martin Salia. He's a surgeon originally from Sierra Leone in West Africa, and that's where he was working when he first showed Ebola symptoms last week. He tested positive for the virus Monday. He'll be flown tomorrow to the Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha. That's one of 4 U.S. hospitals with specialized treatment units for patients with dangerous infectious diseases.
There is no panic in America over Ebola at the moment. This despite the fact another infected doctor is coming into the country for treatment. No doubt the panic factor was real and palpable, and perhaps in light of what has happened since, maybe it served a purpose. Let's welcome to Midpoint internationally recognized cardiologist and medical expert. His upcoming book is entitled Women and Cardiovascular Disease, Addressing Disparities in Care. Dr. Kevin Campbell joins us today. Dr. Campbell, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
Is it fair to say that with this third Ebola patient now heading to the Nebraska Medical Center and seeing that it's not getting a tremendous amount of front page or lead newscast news, that we are confident in the fact that here in America right now, we have what it takes to pull this disease in and stop it in its tracks as long as we find the person and get them into treatment?
You know, I think that if we get these people in the right facilities, such as the one in Nebraska and the ones at the NIH and the one at Emory, I think we are in good shape. However, the cases that come in, such as the gentleman who came into Dallas and came through our borders with Ebola, I think we are poorly prepared for the unexpected arrival of Ebola.
In your opinion, then, have we done enough to prepare ourselves? And of course, we've been hearing this now for a month since that case and so much more. But are we at a position where we're doing enough to stop the disease from coming into this country?
I honestly do not think we are. I've been arguing ever since this outbreak began that we needed to impose travel bans, impose quarantines on the West Africa side of the trip. I would make sure that anyone who's had high-risk exposure spends 21 days in quarantine in West Africa prior to boarding an airplane. I think that we are nowhere near where we need to be to protect American citizens from this disease.
Let me talk a little bit about the panic issue that I brought up a few moments ago, because an article in the Chicago Tribune written by Eric Zorn caught my attention, where the headline said, Ebola panic more widespread than disease. But I thought about it. That Ebola panic shifted us into high gear when basically we and so many other people had been sitting back and we had not been doing enough. Is it just possible, and boy, I know I'm going to get hammered over this by somebody sooner or later, that a little panic sometimes is not a bad idea to basically get you off the chair and get you moving?
You know, I think the panic factor did play a role. You know, our current administration did little or nothing to address the Ebola issue. However, luckily, we've had states step forward with leadership, such as the governor of New York, governor of New Jersey, Illinois, California, impose their own travel quarantines. And I think that panic forced the state's hand because nothing was happening of substance at the national level.
I got about 60 seconds left. I want to backtrack just a little bit because you said we're not doing enough. What, in your medical opinion, is something that needs to be done right now to stop Ebola from coming into this country? Maybe something we're not looking at.
You know, I think we need a travel ban from endemic areas. I think that fever screenings in major gateway airports are just not specific enough. We've seen the fever screenings when we looked at SARS outbreaks in Australia, and it found that it just screened a lot of people, found very few cases. I think we've got to close our borders, and we need to close them now in order to protect American citizens from Ebola. Quarantines are critical.
Outside of that, in your opinion, I mean, that's it, in your opinion, right now. And if we don't do that, the president, whomever is in charge right now, they're being irresponsible. Am I basically getting it right?
I agree with you 100%. I think the CDC is finally moving to do better jobs of training folks and creating a rapid response team, as it were, for Ebola cases. But I think that, as we've seen multiple times with our current administration, we're a day late and a dollar short.
Well, let's hope we're not a day late and a dollar short again, not with something like this, and hopefully we don't need to panic. By the way, I do want to point out again that your upcoming book, Women and Cardiovascular Disease, Addressing Disparities in Care. Dr. Kevin Campbell is our guest. Dr. Campbell, thank you so much for being here. I'll look forward to the next time we speak.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
My pleasure. You too. Another side of the break. What do a baby strapped to a man's chest and the Secret Service have in common? Think about that. We'll reveal all in Cityscape right here on Midpoint.